of the Dragon. So, today we wanted to touch up on the topic of Lyme disease in kids.
All right, so this week, a couple days ago, there was an article that went out in the New York Times written by a mom from the New York area. And the title of the article says, I have it on my phone here, "My son got Lyme disease. He is totally fine." With the subtitle, "Horror stories about lingering Lyme disease proliferate, but the illness is easily treated." This mom in the story talked about her son, who was 9 years old, that was diagnosed with Lyme, and his pediatrician gave him a 4-week round of doxy to treat the Lyme disease, and guess what? He recovered right away, and wow, I'm just so happy for them. That's great that he did not have any ill effects.
Seconded right here.
But the mom in this article seems to state that when you have Lyme disease in children, it's not a big deal. Like, just because her son recovered right away, that why are other moms or why are other kids still complaining or having issues with Lyme disease? And I wanted to quote something in this article that she wrote. She did some interviews, and one of the people that she quoted was Eugene Shapiro, a professor of pediatrics and of epidemiology at Yale. And Shapiro says about his patients, he says, "When it turns out to be Lyme disease, we go to the parents and say, 'Great news, it's Lyme disease. That's the best thing it could be.'" And then he goes on to say, "It is baloney that you can't cure Lyme disease. It's eminently curable." And then another thing that she had stated in this article is that children who have Lyme disease, that it's very treatable, and that in almost all cases that children recover quickly. And it said that many of the people who have lingering effects is because that it's not real, that it's not a problem. And so we just wanted to take a minute to talk about that because, like I said, I'm glad that this woman's son recovered well, and there are a lot of people that recover well. I mean, we know that from personal experience. We live in an area where Lyme disease is very prevalent. It's a kind of this part of Wisconsin that we live in is a hot spot for Lyme disease, especially the county we live in and the county that our extended family lives in. And so we know a lot of people, and some recover right away, some don't. But it's just kind of ridiculous to think that all people are going to be the same, because it's not that way with the disease. And so we just wanted to take a minute to comment on that and talk about our experience in our family, because we're a family with chronic health issues, with Lyme disease being one of them, and talking about the children in our family who have had struggles.
I read through the article right before we filmed this, and some of this stuff did make me chuckle, like the statement, my son had it and he recovered fine, so everyone recovers fine. And I'm like, seriously? It's like, those of you girls who understand the struggle in fashion, it's like the statement, one size fits all, which is not true. So that does get kind of silly. And then the other statement is easily treatable, We live in Wisconsin. You talk to anyone here, nearly everyone is going to know someone who has had the condition, and everyone here knows, like, it's common knowledge here that if you don't catch it within the first 6 months, it will always be with you. If you can treat the symptoms of today and it will subside, and like as long as your immune system keeps it under control, it's fine, But we all have that same understanding that if you don't treat it immediately, you're always going to have it. It's just going to be dormant. So, yeah, I kind of, I thought the writer of the article had some legit things to say, but some of the stuff, you gotta chuckle at the ridiculousness of it,
A lot of response in the Lyme community, and I read some articles that talked about it, and one blogger mentioned that when, let's say you have breast cancer, and one person right away they maybe have surgery, or they do a round of chemo and they're doing great and they're healed, great. And the next person may have a really painful, excruciating experience that lasts maybe a year or more, and eventually they're healed too, but it's kind of traumatic for them and their family.
Never heal.
And then you have those that die, and the person that, the first one that had maybe the surgery or the round of chemo and says, hey, I'm healed, great. And what are you whining about? You should have just healed from cancer too. I mean, you don't hear that. That's ridiculous. So it's kind of the same way with Lyme disease. I mean, everyone's experience is different. So that's just that's common sense, I guess. So anyway, today we're going to share some stories. We're going to talk a little bit about our family. We are a family of 5, and we have Annika and I struggle. My husband Mel and our youngest son are relatively healthy and do not have any major medical issues, but we do have another child in our family who also struggles. He is 14, and I'm going to refer him as middleman, as that's what I often call him, as middleman. My middle child, my son, started having some health issues when he was in 6th grade. It was the winter of his 6th grade year, and he got really sick. He was having terrible stomach pain, and he just felt awful. And we took him to the doctor, and he was literally like holding the stomach and moaning like this, and on the floor in pain constantly, and it was really disturbing. And the doctor said, oh, your son has strep. And I thought, well, gosh, strep causes stomach issues. I didn't know that. And so they treated him for the strep, and it didn't go away. And so we had a friend who's an alternative provider, and the one she treated my daughter for some health issues like a concussion, and had treated her Lyme disease. So I contacted her and said, can you help us? Can you help us figure out what the heck's going on? And so she did some tests with him, and she said that whatever type of strep infection he had was a pretty significant one, and she suspected he had it probably for a long time. And she, for whatever reason, it was a kind of an antibiotic resistant strep. He just needed a little extra boost, so she treated him, but the stomach issues just never went away, and we just knew something wasn't right with him. And I guess he got better, he started feeling better, but he started developing food allergies and food sensitivities. Towards the end of his 6th grade year, the last day, my son came home from school that very last day, and he said, oh, Mom, I had a tick bite. He said, I found a tick embedded in my back. And I said, oh, did you save it? Because whenever we have a tick in our house, we take the tick to our practitioner and have it tested for diseases. And he said, oh, no, he goes, I didn't know what to do. I was at school, so I just threw it away. And I said, oh, and I thought, okay, well, it's probably fine. So I thought, well, I'm not going to worry about it. So I just thought, all right, we'll just watch for any symptoms, and if he starts having any pain or anything unusual, feverish symptoms or anything, that we would contact our doctor. So about 2 weeks later, he was playing baseball. My son, middleman, his best position was catcher, and he really enjoyed that position. And he was at the ball field. His dad's a coach, and my husband Mel came home and said, something's just not right. Maybe we should get his eyes checked, because he couldn't catch the ball. And he said that when he went to catch the ball, that he just couldn't see straight. Like there's something weird and wrong with his vision, and it just, something didn't connect. And that was kind of the first sign that we knew something wasn't right. And so we got a hold of our practitioner and checked into it, and sure enough, he had Lyme disease. And so he developed Lyme disease over the summer between the 6th and 7th grade year, and we treated him, and it was a pretty hard summer, but we got through it. He had, while he was doing the treatment, he was pretty weak and tired, but he made it through, and he stuck it out with the baseball season. I was really proud of him. He did an amazing job hitting, did really well. But he also had some co-infections that we had to treat. The food sensitivities continued to brew and got worse and worse, and then he started having problems with candida, which is an intestinal yeast infection. and started having sensitivities to sugar. So we started having to do a major elimination diet, and it was a huge adjustment for him, but he embraced it and started bringing him lunch to school and everything. But we were doing okay. It seemed like the food modifications were helping the stomach pain to get under control. And then it was around Christmas time. It was just before Christmas, and he sustained a neck sprain. He was playing basketball and he fell and sprained his neck. That's when everything just fell apart. And so he was, since then, he just was in a lot of pain. And it seemed like after the incident, a lot of symptoms just started brewing up again. A lot of joint pain, headaches, horrible migraines. We took him to a craniosacral therapist, and he's the one that found the neck sprain. And he started treating him. And then we started some other medical interventions. It was really hard on me this year. This year was a really hard year on me. Just see my son suffer. You know, I've been through a lot, and I've been sick for several years there. And even with the worst that what I've been through does never compare to seeing your son suffer, or your child. I think that I would do what I had to go through 100 times before I'd ever want to see any of my children have to go through anything like I did. And it was just really hard on our whole family because they saw what I went through, and to see my son in pain. Sometimes he can't get up on his own and we have to help him. Sometimes he falls and can't get off the floor. And it's just heartbreaking as a parent to see that. It's heartbreaking seeing your child who's a straight A student, who's popular, who the teachers love him, not be able to go to school because he's in so much pain and distress. I just can't tell you how heartbreaking it is. But we're a strong family. We're a family of faith, and we just take it a day at a time. We did schedule an appointment with a functional medicine doctor who has treated both Annika and I, and she's the one that had found that Annika has had Lyme disease in the past, and she actually did my original Lyme diagnosis too. She's wonderful. She's in high demand, and so she had like a 4-month waiting list. So in about a month, we'll be bringing him in just to do some more testing and figure out if there's anything else we're missing. And otherwise, we're just going to continue with some of the alternative therapies and the supplements and the pain interventions that we're doing right now with him. But I just want to say that as a parent, as a parent, when you see your child hurting, you realize how much they mean to you. I just want to say that I'll do anything for my son, and I will fight tooth and nail for him, and I will fight for him and his well-being. I'll do anything for my son, and I won't give up until I know I've done the best I can and get him the best medical care that I can. I just want to put that out there right now. And I want to say to other moms out there that are going through this, bless your hearts, because I know how excruciating it can be. Anyway, thank you so much for hearing our family story, and we just want to share a little bit about who we are so that we can inspire other people to keep fighting, keep loving their children, and keep moving forward. Thank you so much.
So, you just heard my mom talk about my 14-year-old brother and what he goes through. It's one thing to be the parent of a child who is suffering that much, and it's another thing to be their sibling. So, I wanted to talk about that, I guess. The hard part about it is, because you're not their legal guardian, there's less you can do to help them, and that is difficult, and it does get hard to see him suffer because I've gone through some of the same things he's been through. It's like I've been there before, but it's like, that's probably the hardest thing about it, is seeing him suffer, but knowing you're not the legal guardian, so all you really can do is just be there. And then that would be the best advice I have to someone who has a loved one who is struggling with a chronic illness, but there's not a lot they can do to help them, like, my best advice is to just be there. When my 14-year-old brother is frustrated or just needs someone to talk to, I tend to be his sounding board. Like, it is a pretty valuable time, the time that the two of us are just alone and we can just talk things through and hash things out, you know. And I don't know, maybe it's something about being siblings, and like the thing with him is, like, you know, I have two little brothers, one is 14 and one is 9. And my 14-year-old brother, an attitude I like to hold with him is, yes, I am his older sister, but I am the only big brother he is ever going to get, so I might as well play the part. Another thing about it is, like, I find that there are certain situations that I have been pretty good at handling. And like I said, I think it's a sibling thing. So it's like when he's feeling stressed and frustrated and things like that, and we need to like go do something that is gonna cause some discomfort, I tend to be the one who is good at handling that. And the thing is, you know, when your son or daughter is struggling, like, you as a parent, it's like you want nothing more than to help them. And it's painful to see your child suffer, you know. So because of that, parents tend to be a bit serious about it. But my technique is, to quote Mary Poppins, just a little bit of sugar helps the medicine go down. So when I work with him, we have pretty similar personalities. Like, I'm more of a musical guru. He is the biggest sports buff I know. But it's like we have similar personalities, so like my take on it is, you know, like, so when you see me trying to help him, you're gonna see me messing around and having some fun with it. Because, you know, that's just what siblings do, you know? Yeah, like, again, my advice, if you got a loved one in your life who is struggling and there's not a lot you can do for them medically, my best advice is to just be there and go on the ride with them, you know? Like, we're in this roller coaster together. Let's enjoy the ride. Chronic illnesses are not enjoyable. I can say that from personal experience, but that's just the best thing I know to say about it. So, that is our story of what it is like to live with a family member, and more specifically, a child who is struggling with chronic illnesses and Lyme disease. So thank you very much for watching. If you liked what you saw today, please be sure to give us a big thumbs up, and then be sure to hit the subscribe button below, and then hit the bell so you can get notifications on our future videos. We are on social media, so you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You'll find it under the username Joyful Mama. Otherwise, we will also put that link in the description below. And then, you know, we discussed an article earlier today. If you would like to learn more about that, we will put the link to the article below, as long as a few links leading to well-written articles explaining the fault in this article, one of which is written by her, truly. So if you would like to learn more, check that out. We'll put the link in the description below, like I said before. So, yeah. See you later.
Thanks for watching, everyone.